The obstacle between you and everything you desire is self-development. Hey guys, Kalen Cuppus here. Hey, I'm driving down to the city. I want to share some thoughts. I'm the author of Fuck Mediocrity, Be Powerful, Be Legendary. It's a book about personal development, but really it's a battle guide on how to get all the things that you want in life by becoming the type of man that you're proud of in life. And that sounds overly simplistic to some people, but ultimately I believe self-development, self-improvement stands between you and everything that you want. So I'll just give you a few examples here just to hopefully convince you. If you became a better leader, your business would do better. If you had better persuasion skills, you would make more money. If you showed up and kept your commitments, you would do better. People would take you more seriously because they know that you have integrity. That's all self-development. Now, what gets people is they don't actually understand the process of self-development. They don't actually understand the linear progression of how you move through it, because it's sort of a fad today. Everybody's like, oh, I'm working on myself, I'm working on myself. And it's like, okay, really? What are you doing then? Because ultimately, if I think about my book, it's ultimately a book about behaviors. It's changing your behavior so that you change your environment, and it's also changing your internal state so that you can change your environment, you can change your behaviors, and ultimately create identity level change. What I think people get tripped up on when it comes to the self-development industry is they don't actually understand the mechanism. They're like, yeah, but what do I work on? So you'll hear some people out there and they'll tell you, oh dude, just hit the gym, and like if you just hit the gym and just conquer that, you're gonna make tons of money. And it's like, bullshit, dude. I know tons of people that are gym owners that lift all the time, that are in awesome shape, but their lives aren't objectively better. Like they're not actually the person that they want to be. They hit this one little thing. And I think you can have it all, bro. Like I'm a believer in having it all. And in order to get there, you have to take a more macro view of what you're doing, right? Because you can crush it at the gym, you can crush it in certain areas, but if you don't have a full understanding of the whole blueprint, then no, you're not going to crush it. You can make tons of money and still not be successful. You can be miserable, you can be unhappy, you can lack meaning, or you can have a great family life but be a poor example for your kids because you haven't taken the time to understand financial mastery, to understand personal mastery, to actually build the character that you're satisfied with. And so you sit there and continue on in a sort of limbo state, and it doesn't work out well. So what I'm getting at is self-improvement, self-development is the obstacle between you and the things that you want. So let's start breaking it down a little bit more. Keeping your word, keeping your commitments, having integrity. These are basic concepts that people don't actually follow through with. Another one in the book is telling the truth. And you have to tell the truth to yourself, because most people aren't who they want to be or where they want to be. And that's the real. And so the real question is, well, what is that? And how do you get there? Because a lot of people, they don't actually know. And they don't know how to make the money that they want. They don't know how to get the results that they want out of life. And oftentimes, it's less a process, at least at the start, of pointing to exactly what you don't want, and more of a process of eliminating the things that are causing problems. It's such low-hanging fruit. You know the things that you're dissatisfied with, just start by eliminating those. Because so many people out there, they don't have any idea. They don't have any idea of what they really want. Maybe you've been working really hard, you're really consistent, but guess what? Most guys are working really hard and really consistent. You hear these people online, they're like, bro, I'll just outwork you. And it's like, yeah, okay. Like, what does that even mean? I don't know what it means. Like, I'll just outwork you. Look, there's plenty of guys out there that are working 18 hours per day, and they're outworking people, and they're not getting any sort of results that compare to somebody else who's working 6 hours a day. But the fact is with that 6 hours, they're more effective than the other people. Now, maybe they're more effective because they're working on the appropriate things and they're not just stuck in busyness. Busyness does not equal effectiveness. Or maybe they've taken the time to understand to get leverage. Maybe they have some virtual assistants. Maybe they have automation. So, or maybe they're in an industry where they can have higher margin on what they're doing so that they can get a greater return. Leverage is inputs versus outputs. It's the delta. So coming back to this idea of self-improvement, because it can be a difficult one for people to wrap their heads around. And I like to try to make it more tangible. So in the fitness program I'm launching here in a few weeks, like one of the things that I'm going to bring are very tangible skills to it, because it's not just a fitness program. I do think self-development can start profoundly with fitness. I think that's a great jumping off point. People get to see physical results very quickly. They get to build integrity. They get to do what they say they're going to do. They feel better. They get their energy up. They have more willpower to push through to the other things. So that's a logical jumping off point. But then you say, okay, well, what's next? So you lose 50 pounds of body fat. Okay, that's some self-development, but where do you go from there? It's like, okay, well, we need to increase your confidence. We need to increase your competence. We need to increase your interpersonal skills. We need to increase your empathy, your relational ability, right? So this goes into saying, okay, well, how are you interacting with people? Like, let's talk about that. Let's talk about your fashion, bro. Let's talk about how you're looking. Okay, you lost 50 pounds, but maybe you ought to consider getting a tanning membership. Maybe you need to get some haircuts. Maybe you need some fashion advice. Maybe when you show up and you meet people, you need to learn how to show up in a powerful way. So I hear some of these people out online and they're like, build the evidence to have the confidence. And in one sense, I totally agree. Like, you're going to be confident when you have the evidence behind you that you've done something already. Like, if you've done something of magnitude. For instance, I have thousands and thousands of hours of experience in, like, shall we say, interpersonal relationships. I was a male dancer for 6 years. I got to like really become a world-class professional on, I don't know if you want to call it deep psychology, dark psychology, whatever it may be. Really, you're almost like an unlicensed therapist to people. And that's all you are, is like, it's just sales, it's persuasion, it's influence. And I got to become really good at this because I'm interacting with thousands of people every single week. And I'm building deep rapport, connections, building rapport quickly. And so, circling back to what I was saying, there's some people who are like I feel really confident in my skills there, right? But there's some people out there, they're like, oh, you need to build the confidence and then you'll feel confident. That being said, if you don't have the evidence beforehand, and let's say that you're walking into a big meeting or you're hopping on stage, and let's say that you do know what you're talking about. Let's say that you are going for it, but maybe it's your first one, maybe it's your 100th one, and you're still nervous. Like, that's okay. Man, I went on Brad Lee's podcast the other day. It was my first big podcast. I was nervous. I was asking myself beforehand, I'm like, why am I nervous? I'm reframing it. In my mind, I'm like, dude, I'm fucking excited. Like, I'm gonna crush it, right? I'm reframing it in my mind. But, I was, no matter the circumstances, I was a little jittery, man. Like, I forgot to grab a water before I went in there. Halfway through, my mouth is so dry, I can hardly speak. And I'm trying to get it together, and I'm like, dude, like this is a trip. It's been a minute. Like I've performed on stage in front of thousands of people, and yet I'm getting nervous here. You know, just having a conversation one-on-one with somebody. And so that was kind of interesting. But what can help is exactly what I was talking about beforehand, because if I had let my emotions run all over the place and I didn't have some training here, if I didn't have some skills here, like a toolkit, well, it could have been way worse. And so part of that toolkit is learning to manage your state and optimize your state. So that's in your brain, getting pumped up beforehand. You know, that's like, yes, like I'm gonna crush this. And when you set that state, you bring that energy that's contagious. And when you bring that contagious energy through, people want to be around you. People connect to you. People want to be a part of what you're a part of. People want to be like you because they want that energy. They want that vitality. That's what they want. And so that's part of the self-development that I'm talking about, is bringing that up on cue, bringing that up just whenever, because you have that ability. And so it goes further than physical fitness. It goes further than these things. And I think that's hard for people to quantify, because they're like, well, yeah, just self-development. It's like, well, what does self-development mean? Self-development is also these other things. It's also learning to manage your state, to show up with that contagious energy, to look at people in the eyes, to remember their name, to shake their hand, to give them a hug, to care about them, to genuinely have the empathy within yourself that you're like, you know what? All my job today is to care about this person. That's all it is. And when you do that, it's like the world opens up to you, because so many people are dying to be seen. So many people are dying to be heard, bro. They're dying for it. And so I believe that the major obstacle between most people is self-development. Now, there's also, so I have my Sacred 8, and my Sacred 8 is part of Lions and Leverage, which is a new company that I've launched. And it's a Sacred 8 that if you take care of these things, you will have freedom, you will have time, you will have growth, you will have happiness and meaning in life, or the option of those. Because happiness is sort of a transitory thing. It's something that comes over and over and over again. So a lot of people are like, oh, I just want to be happy. And it's like, it sounds like, to give an example, a lot of people compare happiness to trying to eat one meal and then be satiated for the rest of their life. It doesn't work. It's not a great metric. So instead of that, using something else, using something where it's like, dude, happiness is transitory and it's earned every day. It's just like Roy Vaden says, the rent is due every day. I'm paraphrasing there, but I think he says success is rented and the rent is due every day. So the point that I'm sort of trying to bring around here with my Sacred 8 are, I take care of these things. So I've got core, which is really like your heart, motivation, that contagious energy, feeling alive, that vitality, right? Consciousness, mindset, mentality, your paradigm. Condition, you got to take care of your body. That's health and fitness. Character, that's integrity, that's truth, that's living on purpose. That's keeping your commitments. That's actually doing the things that you say that you're going to do, and it's putting your life into action. That's kind of the keystone of everything. Then you have command, because you've got to have mastery. If you want to do big things in life, you have to have mastery. You can't, if you want to play small, continue to be a dabbler, continue to be an amateur. But if you want to play big, hey, you got to go professional, and that's part of it, right? So next, you've got capital. You got to take care of your money. You got to take care of your finances. You want to do big things. You want to go big places. Ask yourself this question: if you had a lot of money, would you do good things with it? I know when I have a lot of money, and what I consider a lot of money is different than a lot of people. A lot of people are like, oh, I want $1 million, and that's a lot of money. That's not a lot of money to me. $10 million, still not even a lot of money. $10 million is like $1 million back in the 90s. I mean, it's ridiculous. After that, you've got connection, because you have to have love and relationships. You have to have communion. You need a powerful peer group. You need a band of brothers or a band of sisters, whatever it may be, but you need connection. And then lastly, you need contribution. That's soul, meaning, purpose. That's being a part of something greater. So if you take care of those sacred 8, dude, you're going to have growth, continual growth in life. You're going to have all of these aspects of self-development put together. And so part of my mission is to create structures and concepts that people can understand and get around, so that you can have the level of self-development that you really want packaged into something that you can understand. Because oftentimes people are just like, oh man, self-development. What does that mean? It's like, okay, dude, you want to start making more money? Are you in a job where you are rewarded based off of competency, based off of performance? If you are, self-development is the key. You want to get better at sales? Persuasion, bro. Learn the sales scripts. Learn how to show up more powerfully. Learn how to control your state. Learn interpersonal relationships. Become an interpersonal ninja. It's not rocket science. It can all be broken down, and it's all skills. There's so many examples of people that were introverts, that are introverts still, that don't naturally talk well, and yet they developed the skills, and now they dominate because they had that degree of self-development. I guess I gotta adjust my air here. And so that's part of the process. So once you get there, I think your whole world can open up. And that's why I think it's really important. Obviously, I think it's important. I wrote a book on it. I wrote a book primarily because I saw a missing piece out in the marketplace. And I said, nobody's done this. Nobody's written a book that's a complete life system. Like, you've got people that write books on habits, they write books on mastery, they write books on these different subsets. And I'm like, yeah, it's great, but what about a book just to tie it all together? What about tying the best concepts of a lot of the stuff together so that people have a roadmap? And I'm really proud of it. So anyways, guys, like, dude, just brainwash yourself. Brainwash yourself if you have to. A lot of it comes back to beliefs. A lot of it comes back to beliefs and how much you're willing to believe in yourself. And sometimes, like, I'll be honest, dude, I've had at times when I've been low, because I'm not always on. None of us are. At least most of us. I've had times where I had to find people that believed in me more than I believed in me. That helped show me the value that I had. That helped to show me the contribution I can make. That helped to reinforce the skills that I have. Sometimes when we're too close, we don't understand it. Sometimes when we are too close to something, we can't see it. It's hard to see the picture when you're inside the frame. So if you're listening to this and you're struggling, just realize that there is a path out there. And part of that path is on the other side of a decision that you make. It's a commitment. And don't try to lie to yourself. It's a difficult commitment. When you go down the road of self-development, personal improvement, dude, it's hard. And I think a lot of people don't talk about it enough, because you got to cut people off. A lot of the relationships that you've had, hey, they're going out the window. And even, I was thinking about this earlier today, you know, I'm around somebody, and it would be a very awkward situation for me to speak up and say things. This person's very sensitive. This person, if I say things, it's going to hurt their feelings. But I don't feel like I'm being a nice person by not saying things. by not doing these things. And it's outside of integrity for me. And so I'm thinking about, hey, how do I really handle that? You know, because that's a close thing, and they're a close person. But ultimately, I think for me, I have to stick to my guns, which is, yeah, I do have to be honest. I have to tell my truth, even if it upsets people, even if they disagree. I'm sorry, but that's who I am, and that's the type of man that I want to be. I want to be the type of man who's not a fair weather friend. I want to be like, love ain't lies, man. Love ain't lies. So I don't want to lie to people. I don't want to lie to myself. I've been delusional about my life so much in my life. I've lied to myself. I have been the biggest liar in my own life. I don't want to be that way. And I'm way better at it than I was a year ago, and way better than 5 years ago. But I still think it's a continuum. Like, I'm not sure you ever get there. Jordan Peterson says, tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Because he realizes, like, we all have these little white lies that pop up here, there, wherever. And I think, you know, it's important to consider things when it comes to those, because it's not an overnight process. It's not an overnight thing where you're just like, all right, boom, here it is. But I do think the closer that we can get to being truthful, the better off we are. And, you know, there's this whole push out online of, I just want to be my authentic self. I just want to be me. And it's like, dude, what does that even mean? I don't even know what that means. Like, my authentic self, my best self, is me in 5 years, me in 10 years. So I don't orient to who my authentic self is right now. I just orient towards who future Kalen would be, because that dude's my hero. Like, that dude is my hero. That is the guy that I'm proud of. And I'm always going to be looking out. When I'm 80, I'll be looking out to Kalen at 85, because Kalen at 85 is going to be doing some badass stuff still. I believe that. That's how things work in my reality.